Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. I think we're up. Yes, people there. Ah, Francis, I got number 1. Fast. I see your email there, and William, haven't answered it yet. I'm sorry. Just get to it. Try and get to it later this morning. So. All right, let's get this show on the road. Just continuing where we left off. Is it yesterday, the day before? I can't remember. This has just been day after day now doing this thing. We've got a routine worked out. Me and Ayumi-san, she's back here this week doing light work. And light work for her means she's doing the key block and colors on this owl. It's perfect. It's just such a small, delicate work. It's perfect for her. So I get to do this part, the heavy in quotation marks part. And she does light stuff, and we're churning out about 50 a day. 40 a day, 50 a day. So what I did was last night, I did the base tone on this before going to bed last night. There's 40 copies in here. Then this morning I'll do the second tone on it, to deepen the thing. Here's the second tone to deepen it. Could be a bit darker, I think. Look at this. And then she'll step in and do the key block. There's no key block in this, but she'll do the owl block and the colors. And the orders are still pouring in, so we're keeping ahead of them at the moment. But I don't know how long it's going to go on for. You know. We've got a real winner on our hands this year. Good morning, everybody. Looks a bit light today. Sometimes that chat stream takes off and fills 2 pages here within the first few minutes. It's okay, and that's not an encouragement. Not sure if it needs repeating. I mentioned this the other day. Whenever there's a double impression like this, the way we use the brush is a little bit different. I did the first impression last night, and the final brush strokes went like this at that particular angle. And today I'm doing the second coat, so the brush strokes are going to be slightly variant, just down like this. Because no matter how carefully we rub, there's going to still be a little bit of brush. What do you call them? Hakisuji, the lines left by the brush and the block. And by doing it that way and this way, those lines cancel each other out. So. There's a few more differences between the first and second impressions. I've got 2 different barons on the desk here. Last night for the first impression I used this one. It's one of our Murasaki barons. It's the same kind we use in the print party room. It's really, you know, quite hard, quite strong. And if I an order, thank you very much, somebody. And it's good for the first one when the paper is thick and the paper is untouched. So it's good to get the strongest burn possible. But if I use that for the second go now the paper is soft and thin because there's already an impression on there. That would leave striations on the paper. So I use, this is still a strong burn, but it's, you know, the points are not quite as sharp and digging in. I'm not sure the light here is so bad. If I try and show you this one before and after, let's see if I can do that. But the light here, it's good for me, but I don't think it's so good for you guys. But anyway, let's try this. Just a minute, let me get the pigment ready. So it's exactly the same pigment, so there's no color change going on here. It's just a question of depth, saturation. It's exactly the same color, same brush, same pigment, same mix, same everything. So here we are, this is before. This is one light tone done last night. And this is the one now, just done. Again, it's just a question of saturation. If we try and do it all in one pass, we could do that. Just deepen up the pigment mix, richen up the pigment mix to get the saturation in one pass. But almost certainly then there's going to be small, you know, like I said, those lines left by the brushes. Or if we just miss one little corner or something while rubbing, it's really difficult to get a perfect smooth color with one deep pass. So almost always we break it down like this to 2. And that gives us a really, really nice impression. The old guys, whatever, X years ago, bang, 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 they just laugh at such an idea. If you can't do it in one, you can't do it. Go home, you know, whatever, you know. And yeah, they were powerful guys with, honestly speaking, too, better paper, better size, better brushes, you know. Not to blame the tools, but but yeah, they would just laugh at this. A little print like this, trying to do this in 2 impressions, they would just laugh and laugh and laugh. Nice, very, very, very nice. What's that stuff to the left? I guess right of day for the color. We have pigment here, powder pigment in water, nothing else in there. There's powders and water. Then this is paste, nori, rice paste. Rice paste is what gives us the smoothness here. It's not to glue the pigment to the paper. It's to give it some body. The powder and water is just too blotchy. It would just blotch all over the woodblock. Combining it with the paste just gives it a smoothness, texture-y, I guess, kind of. Oh, I hear the question sound. Just a minute. that doesn't seem to be working all the time, you know. There was a question yesterday which I didn't hear. Whatever, I guess I was probably talking too much or something. Hang on. Okay, we have an official question. Hang on a sec. Where am I? Twitch questions, 1. Question about subscription pricing in yen. Actually, we do. I know. We do. Of course, we take subscriptions. We take payments in actually whatever currency people want to pay in. I know on the website, I think it's listed just for convenience. It lists on the Japanese website. It lists yen. On the English language website, it lists dollars, pounds, and euros. And there should be a note somewhere that says, if you live somewhere else, Canada, Australia, just contact me and we'll give you the number in your own currency or something. So we try and make it as simple as possible. New room. No, this is upstairs. This is in the 3rd floor printing room. I usually broadcast from the 2nd floor where my carving bench is. Today I'm printing, so I'm using one of the printing benches. I'm using Ayumi-san's bench today. Not sure how long it's going to be called Ayumi-san's bench because she'll be off for good pretty soon. Her baby is showing now, so. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning in Tokyo, you know, bright, sunny day. Looks like autumn is finally here, the best season, you know. We've had so much wet weather. Got a bit too much paste and I've got to lay back on the next one. That's why we don't mix it together. People ask, why don't you just mix the pigment and paste together and just put it on in one dab? It's because it flies, you know. It's a bit much, a bit less, a bit much, a bit less. We've got to be able to adjust them independently. Oops, says he putting too much on again. You get into a routine, you know. This block looked the same as yesterday. It is. It's a continuous work. This is how our job works, you know. This is not a repeat of yesterday's broadcast. It's a repeat of the work that I was doing yesterday. This is our life when you're a printer. We make hundreds of these things, so it means sitting at the bench doing the same thing hundreds and hundreds of times. You know, I'm sorry if it makes for a boring broadcast, but that's life in a printmaker's workshop, you know. You want a Twitch stream that shows what woodblock printmaking is like, then this is what it is. The same thing again and again and again and again. You have to like it enough to deal with it, you know. Again, for people just dropping in this right now, this is the second pass. For the background sky here, we do this on a 2-pass system. And in recent days, I've been doing it evening and morning. In the evening, I do the first pass. I'll show you now in a second. Let's make a wipe off the mess here. The first pass last night was with a very light blue. It's the same pigment, but it comes out quite lightly on a single pass. And the second pass gives more saturation. I tell you, this little print, this little postcard size print, this is nothing. This is just a walk in the park. But if you imagine this same job with a big print, a double O-bun or something, doing strong background colors like this. There we are. There's the second pass. Now the saturation is up. Doing a background color like this on large paper, and if you want rich color, it's insane amount of work. Absolutely insane amount of work. This is nothing. Postcard like this is nothing. You can see I'm just sitting here, plump, 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 plump. But it's everything. Strip off your clothes, just sweat. You can do 5 at a time, take a break, do another 5 sheets, take a break, or alternate different printers coming in. With big sheets, background colors are very, very, very difficult. This is where those guys, I know Numabi-san, the guy's doing some printing for us on the Shin Hanga work. When he's doing background colors like this, he stands up to do them, and he switches to a, what's the steel bearings? What are they called? Bearing button. Just so that physically he can apply the pressure. Studio Ghibli, no. There's been no contact with Studio Ghibli, and we've talked about this before. There probably won't be any contact with Studio Ghibli. They themselves don't have the rights, the ability to give licenses for print rights. It's held by a different company. Tokuma Shoten is the company with the print rights for the Ghibli products. So it's Tokuma Shoten we should be talking to, and at the moment, this year, next year, whatever, our workshop is just too flooded with work. We are just staggering under the workload. And even if the Ghibli people turned around to us today and said, yes, let's fly, I would be in real trouble because I don't have the staff, I don't have the resources, I don't have the paper, I don't have the blocks to take on that project right now. It was something I wanted to do 3 years ago, and I do want to do it, but right now I don't have the resources, not at all. So I'm letting that sleep for a while. It's not buried, and I would like to do it one day. It's very much a goal for us, but right now it's not a priority on my desk at all. We are staggering under the workload, just trying to keep up with what we've got. our heroes prints, the new boss fights, our subscription prints, the Doi Hanga blocks. We're staggering under the workload, and I can't possibly initiate another project like that. It's the question about the old studios, do they share the work and stuff? It's an interesting question. In the post-war period, which, you know, the period that I know about through the 60s, 70s, and up into now, work is not, an individual print is generally not shared between printers. One guy would work through a project from the key block right to the end. This is in the current setup for this. And here in our workshop, that's usually how we do it. Couple of caveats. I know the key block for any print is much more difficult to print than the color blocks. And if it's not perfectly aligned, you'll never get the color blocks aligned. So it was common, and still maybe sometimes is common, for the best people in the workshop to do the key blocks. Whatever, the master in the workshop would do the key blocks, and other people could come in and then do the color blocks. So that still happens here and there. And that's in a sense, that's what's happening right now. I'm doing the background for this because it's the most difficult one. And Ayumi-san is going to step in tomorrow morning and finish it off. But generally, no. It's one man, one job. Back in the real old days, Meiji or Edo and Meiji or stuff, we don't really know, but we do have a clue about this because we see sometimes collections of old blocks with numbers written on them. You say the 8 blocks for a print or something. And a difficult block might have the number 12. I'm just using random numbers here. Number 12 on it. A simple block might have the number 2 written on it. An intermediate block might say 6 or something. And we know how this works. Then in the workshop, a bunch of different workers are there, and they're all going to work on this print together. It's a fast job that has to get out the door quickly. And the master has looked at the blocks, and he's put the price he's willing to pay. So for that difficult block, he's going to pay 12 sen or something. It was a portion of a yen, whatever it was back then. And the guys in the workshop would priority. The guys with the seniority would pick the blocks they wanted to print. Maybe a fast block that paid less, but they knew they could do it quicker, or a difficult block that paid more. And the guys would bid on the blocks, you know. So there were jobs that were done en masse around the workshop. And in general, those would be the jobs, I think, that had a strong publishing deadline. The job came in, and it's got to be out the door in 2 days. And there's no way for one man to work through all the colors step by step by step by step. So it's all hands on deck. Pass the paper from A to B. You print yours, pass it to C, switch the blocks around. But that's not common at all now. At all. Maybe it doesn't even happen anywhere. I don't know. For us, the New Year's card is coming up. You know, I'm still carving it downstairs. That'll be what I'll be back to tomorrow, I guess. And we're probably going to gang that up the same as this. Because we need hundreds. We need like 600-700 copies of that thing. Patreon print. What's that? Oh, they're still sending out the chibis month by month by month. I know. It would be switching, I think, next month. I'm not quite sure. The first two Patreon prints, the Patreon chibis, we made a pair, summer and winter. And we've got to think about when to switch to the winter one. Maybe next month or this month, I'm not sure. Getting a bit too deep, I think, actually, compared to the one a few minutes ago. It is. Got to back off on the pigment a bit here. It's brushing with and against the grain. The rules are different here for depending on what you're doing. With most of our normal impressions, we would do this. We rub out the pigment and then we finish off like this, brushing across the grain very lightly. Because when you brush with the grain, the brushing action pulls the pigment out of the grain. And sometimes, quite often, you get small white streaks there because the pigment has been pulled away from it. So generally, we brush across the grain for the final impression. There's an exception to that when you're doing things like sky or sea, whatever. And we'll finish off those by using the final brushing very lightly. You probably can't hear it. I can't hear it. And the benefit of doing it that way is that whenever there are slightly inevitable tiny streaks in it, because they're horizontal, it looks like part of the sea, it looks like part of the sky. It doesn't catch your eye. Here, let's see if I can see some. This is the impression I did. This is last night's impression. This is the first impression. Maybe I can't see it at the same time. There might be very faint, light, tiny stripes in there. And by the time we do it twice, those are covered up. But still, with sky and sea blocks, we tend to finish off with horizontal. You can see how transparent the paper is. You can see my fingers through it. Do I pronounce Patria? This is so funny. How to pronounce that thing? What do you call it over in the West? Is it Patreon? Patrons? Patreon, I guess. Can I? In Japanese, the word became, you know, like in Japanese we have the word baseball. The word baseball became Japanese baseball. You take the same letters and pronounce them in a Japanese way. So the concept of the thing that in English is called a patron, in Japanese became patron. Patron. So that website, that place where you do this, in Japanese, that's Patreon. And I guess whatever, we talk about it here in Japanese, so sometimes when I'm even speaking English, that's the way the pronunciation comes out. Have you got your Patreon chibis? Well, there's one more thing I'm curious about. I know the use of the normal word in English language, people who do this sponsoring are called patrons. But that website has spelled it differently because of their own way, Patreon. So are the people called Patreons? The people who are part of this, are they my Patreons? Patreons? I have no idea. You have to ask Jack what he does with it, I guess. I don't know. My God, it's sure helping us right now, though. Wonderful. We're still thinking now about how to change and morph and utilize that resource as we move forward, because the initial thing that we asked for, that sponsorship to help us, you know, get the manager thing in place, it's really pretty much there now, I know. And as far as the next project, there's so many that are on tap. We've talked about them here. The mulberry fiber is the next one coming up. We might be needing to make a strong investment in the mulberry fiber, because the old system of selling it from the farms through agricultural cooperatives to the paper wholesalers to the paper makers, 4 steps, that's breaking up now. Breaking down, breaking up, same thing. Breaking up and breaking down, same thing. But in order to get in there, we're going to need to make a fairly substantial investment. So that's probably what the Patreon money for the next few months will be doing. We're not quite sure yet. Is the mic scratching against something? My beard, maybe? Or are you hearing this paper? That's what you're hearing. I don't know. The mic is on my lapel here. I don't think it should be scratching unless it's my clothes. You tell me. I don't know. Or is it this paper you're hearing? It's scratching against something sometimes. Well, it's just my sweater. I don't think there's anything scratchable there. I've got a pen in my pocket inside. Is that it? If I take that out? Testing, 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 testing. Just call us money machines. I'm really trying to avoid that thought, you know. I mean, having people, what's the word, donate or give or money, and it's not a good business model. You know, any business that needs that thing to run is not a sustainable business. So I'm trying to avoid putting myself in a situation where I start that and then depend on it. Look at this money that comes in, this free money that comes in every month. I really don't want that to happen. So I very much want to keep it specifically project-based. You've paid this money for the past few months, and here's what we're going to do with it. Projects that we couldn't have done without that money. We've talked about this before, because I have no financing. There's no loans available to me. There's no line of credit. There's no capital investment. So I'm very much going to try and keep the Patreon thing project-based. There's a specific reason why you've done this for the past few months, and here's what the money is going to be used for. So if you don't do that, it just becomes a thing that's always there, and you depend on it, and it's not rational. So anyway, thank those of you who are part of that. Thank you very much. You are making a difference. Period. Nothing else to say about that. You are making a difference. Yeah, it's not free. We're giving them a product. That's just, I just can't bear the idea of not doing something back in return. So it doesn't add up. The prints we're giving don't. It's not selling. The Kickstarter is selling. The money comes in for Kickstarter. It's not a donation. They get goods in exchange, hopefully at a good value. The Patreon thing is different, but I can't bear the idea of taking the money and not putting something back in. Anyway, whatever. Enough. It's the same discussion. The guy that was here, I didn't even learn his name. He works for Google, and they talked to me quite at length about the YouTube thing. And he was, in the beginning, he was laughing when he said it, but he said, "My God, you're such an old guy. You don't get this modern world, do you?" I was so shocked to hear him say it, because I think I have the feeling that I'm so hip with this internet stuff, And he was adamant, "You just don't get it." Nice. I'm very, very happy the way this is coming out, Amy-san should be super grateful. What have we got left here? Another 20 copies or so. It's 8:30. I'll probably run out. Let's see. I'll have to think of something else to do here. Oh, I do. I've got more paper in the back. So. Why do you need such a small amount of paint and ink? There's a couple of things. The print. Why do we need such a small amount of paint and ink? It's enough to make the effect, and I'm not sure what else I can say. What you're seeing when you see blue here on this sheet of paper, you're seeing tiny blue dots. The pigment here is actually particles. This is not a dye. The pigment is a physical substance. It's a mineral pigment, ground up, very fine. So when we're seeing one of these woodblock prints, what you're seeing is particles of blue pigment suspended on a white background, the white background being the paper. And the amount of stuff that I actually put on the block each time is obviously just the right amount to produce a particular color and tone and tint that I want. So So I'm not sure, it's the same question. How much is just enough? How much is just to get the color you want? The hip question, I left it hanging. You're saying the Google dude was clueless. No. Don't let me just leave it there. The Google dude, I don't know his name, he knew exactly what I'm doing. He's been a fan, a supporter. He knows exactly what we're doing. His point to me was that the way I think, I've got to keep working it. His point to me was that, how can I explain this? Let me try and recall part of the conversation. I had been talking about why I don't monetize the YouTube videos for ads, why I asked for Patreon support, why we kept the prices low. The conversation had been all over the place. And I guess at one point he was frustrated by the way I was thinking about my own business. So he said something like, and again, I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly what it was. he said something like, Dave, how many prints have you sent out? You and your workshop, how many prints have you sent out the past few years? And he just guessed, what is it, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000? I don't know. But anyway, some of this, let's just take a number, 20,000. There's 20,000 pieces of paper have left your workshop over the past, whatever, X time frame. And I'm like, okay. And he said, you're probably thinking that that's what you do. That's the thing you supply to society, right? The baker makes bread, people buy it and eat it. David makes woodblock prints, the people buy it and put it on their wall, right? I'm saying, yeah, of course. He said, that's what I'm talking about. You don't get it. And at this point, I'm like, okay, what is this dude talking about? What's going on here? And he said, that's why I said you're thinking of the old business model. This was the old way. Capitalist system. People gather capital, they gather labor, they gather skills, they make a product, they produce. Other end of the system, people consume. They put their own money down and consume it. And the money goes round and around. And the guy that buys your print, you take the money, give it to the baker takes the money, give it, around and around and around it goes. So of course I said, yeah, of course, that's my business model. We make this product, and if we provide it to society, and if some people out there decide they like it, they will, quote, consume it, and around we go. And he said, you do that, but that's the old system, and what you're not getting is that that's not the way the world is working completely anymore. Whatever, I'm trying to paraphrase what he said and getting a bit lost, but his point was that David is thinking that the physical product, the prints we make, are the things that we're contributing to society, and that the exchange, the money we get in exchange for them, is how we make a living. And his point was no. He said, I'm being a bit blind. And he said, look at your YouTube videos. You're not monetizing them. But he said, obviously, I think even while he had been there, or he himself had come up the stairs to see us because he has watched the YouTube video. His point was that one of the values, the main value that I bring to society is not the physical pieces of paper, because only like 10 or 20,000 people can get those. The thing I was bringing to society is the teaching and the talking and the enthusiasm and spreading this woodblock thing around. We've got a guy here, William, is making woodblock prints. I'm not his teacher, I'm not his boss, I didn't teach him what to do, but to a large degree, William's making prints because of the stuff that we did here in this room. And the Google guy was saying, that's your value. So go ahead, open Patreon, put your hand out, and people are going to pay $1 a month, or $2 a month, or $5 a month. And they are acting as proxies for everybody else. Those people will pay your rent and pay your rice and they will, keep you going. And they're acting as proxies for the other people who are also consuming your products, meaning videos and talk and Twitch streams and you name it. Whatever. I've rambled a bit. I'm sorry. Just whatever. I just wish I'd had a recording of the guy's conversation, whatever, because it really made sense. He outlined these points in a sensible way. And although I've dramatized it now, he says, you don't get it, you don't get it. The point was really there. That the way I think about my business model and my value to society and what we're doing is really quite different from the way that some people out there are seeing the same thing. So whatever. Sorry to make a ramble out of this. We should make a video about it more carefully one day when I think about the points more clearly. Another order, thank you very much. It could be an ebook, it could be a scroll, it could be, we don't know what it is. We don't discriminate with those tones. Oh, talk. Lots of comments. Sorry, guys. Yeah, YouTube. I mean, YouTube is the, absolutely the most wonderful thing we're doing. I know people are, dissing YouTube and they're having trouble with it, and it's, whatever. YouTube is keeping us alive. Absolutely keeping us alive. We're like at, I forget what it is now, 17,000. What is the latest number? 17,000 a day views is the current current run. We wouldn't ever think about monetizing it. For us, YouTube is not about advertising revenue. It's about letting people around the world know what we do. And the wonderful, wonderful thing about YouTube, from our point of view, as opposed to, say, Facebook. Facebook, you post something, it's there for a few minutes, people see it in their stream, it's gone, and then tomorrow it's disappeared from the face of the earth. Whereas you put content on YouTube, and it just keeps growing. It's wonderful. I can't say anything bad about YouTube. The community is wonderful to us. Just whatever. It's glorious that it's alive. I'm terrified that it would go away or change some way. Because in its current status, YouTube and our business model are just a perfect fit. This is, again, the Google dude, the guy you referred to. He was saying YouTube loves you. Even though you're not monetizing it, nobody's making money off the ads. The fact that we have content that people keep coming back for. And he pointed out, he said, there's a war on between Google and Facebook, and the fact that you're on YouTube, they just love you. What's this? Registration mark cuttings split the block. I'm not sure I understand what you're talking about. Oh, you mean your own work? I've done that before. Been there, done that. I'll show you. I know. I can't. I got my knife here. It's in the drawer. You getting your block ready, because the registration mark's near the edge of the piece of wood. You lean over, put the pressure in to cut the registration mark, and bang, splits off the piece of wood. Been there, done that. Welcome to the club. Glue it back on. The videos are kind of ads for your prints. Well, sure. I mean, you know how I don't do a video and say, here, click here to buy this print. We're never going to do that. But ads in the sense that people enjoy the videos, they poke around our site some more, they get interested in it, and they end up buying. I mean, yeah, in that sense. And that's what I said. YouTube is being a wonderful, what's the word? A thing that combines with our own work, I don't know how the media landscape's going to change over the coming years. I have no idea. We'll try and keep in touch with it, on top of it. But at the moment, the way that YouTube works, it's just, we couldn't have imagined or created any better idea for helping our own work than the way YouTube currently works. So, ride the tiger for as long as it runs and see what happens next. I don't know. I'm really not concentrating very well on this. The last two copies I had too much paste on the edge. I got to be careful here. Wipe off. This is where the paste gets wiped off, right there. Wipe off paste, wipe off paste. The paste gathers at the end. There's no paste gathers here. I'm left-handed. The paste gathers here. So I'm wiping out paste, very light strokes to finish it off. Maybe even one more. Get rid of the paste. And of course here it's just cleaning. Yeah, you're talking about the videos as a future knowledge trove. You know, that's interesting too. You know, how long are these things going to last? Will they still be visible 100 years from now? Will people be looking at this stuff? Will YouTube exist? Will the videos be stored somewhere? I don't know. We've got our own copies of all these videos on our own system here. But if YouTube changes or no idea. No idea. Suppose YouTube changed to a model where if I want to keep the video, I have to pay rent for it. So people are watching. Okay, as long as I'm here, I'd pay rent for it, $1 a month, whatever it was, or something. But then when I die, stop paying the rent, the video goes down. Do other people jump in? And you know, I have no idea where this is going in the future. Wasn't woodblock prints kind of dying art? Be careful about this. I know woodblock printmaking in Japan is really quite popular still. There are people all over the country doing it as a hobby. There's maybe 30, 40 guys left in the Craftsmen's Association making tourist prints. So it's not dead. It wasn't that it was all gone and I came and picked it up. What we've done with Jed's concept of putting pop culture back into printmaking is it obviously set off a real spark. Our heroes prints themselves have been very popular, and every other publisher in town who has anything to do with woodblock printmaking jumped on that bandwagon. You saw within a year of our Ukiyo Heroes starting, there was the Star Wars project, there was the KISS project. The idea of making pop culture prints caught on like wildfire. So in that sense, the creative spark that Jed brought to it through me has very much helped the traditional woodblock printmaking scene here in Japan. Very, very much so. But it's not like it was all dead and we brought it back to life. I know. So few people were making prints in recent years, the supply chain has collapsed. There's no good supply of paper, there's no good supply of wood. And now these things are getting revitalized because of our power. But I wouldn't ever want to make the claim that, my God, we just brought it all back to life. It was dead and we renovated it, you know. X% of that is true, but I don't know how far to take it. Yeah, people are storing them. Yeah, what, my full YouTube videos, people are downloading them and keeping their own copies and whatever. I don't care. Do that. If that's what helps it move forward to the future, go for it, you know. There's an interesting point there, something. It goes back about 2 months or 3 months ago. One of the viewers of stuff, he wrote me an email saying, Dave, you got to know, somebody's stolen your YouTube. Somebody's stolen a couple of your YouTube videos. And he had taken the Ito-san video, I guess, and another one, some guy in Russia, and downloaded them and put them up on his own website without any change. Just put them up on his own website. He's starting to get views. And so I wrote to the YouTube, there's a place on YouTube where you type in your data. Somebody has, you know, copied your content, whatever. And YouTube's machine took the guy's stuff down. And then within a few minutes of that, somebody posted on my YouTube channel, what an asshole you are, or I forget his exact words. He said, you're stealing Nintendo's stuff. You're stealing stuff all over the net. You make your whole living adapting other people's works. And some guy tries to adapt your video and you tell him to take it down? And I thought, gee, wow, am I being a hypocrite? I'm not sure. I don't think that's how YouTube works. Copying some person's video in total, putting it to your website, putting ads on it, and then showing it. I don't think that's the YouTube model, you know. So I said so. You know, if somebody writes to me and asks me, can I use a clip from your video, put it inside my own video? I do this actually all the time. I say yes. I've never say no. But I don't know, was I hypocritical? I don't know, whatever. And now my block is dry. This paper, I got to get a new sheet. This is getting too stained now. My backing sheet's got 2 creases here. I've got to go get a new one. Just hang on a sec. If I was in my own workshop, it's right at hand, but I'm not at home, so out of my pocket. Back in 1 minute, excuse me. What we've got, we get the stuff in rolls. Scissors, scissors, scissors. Why don't we use tables and chairs? Tables and chairs don't work for this kind of work. They just don't do it. I know. We sort of talk about this basically every day. I know. A chair and a table, you sit there and you push at the table. I know. The way this is, it's like think about a jet cockpit. This is not so different from a jet cockpit. I'm in here. I've moved my feet in. I've pulled this up to me now. All the tools around here. It's maybe difficult to see because you can't see my full body here, but try and do this without face. So this thing's up here, the pressure here. I'll do this with just a piece of junk paper. I don't know. Whatever. The color has gone on. Now once the paper's on the block, I'm now forward like this. My arm is perfectly straight. My body weight is coming over this. I've locked my wrist, locked my elbow, and it's from my shoulder and my torso that the pressure is coming into this thing. And if I was sitting with a table and a chair and sitting there and pushing, there's just no way. It's just your arms doing something up and down. So the idea here, this gets under my body. And I'm being a little bit, because it's just a little postcard print, no big deal. I'm doing it like this. But if this was a print that needed power, I am curled over and leaning into it. And the full weight of your body goes into this thing. So tables and chairs, just trust me, trust me, trust me. If you're trying some test printing at home, just playing with this, yeah, get a table and chair and try it. If you're going to be making 200 copies of a print on a production basis, you're going to need to figure out how to do this. I really shouldn't be trying to read this. Yeah, the cough. It's Jed's cough. He gave it to me. It's still here. It's still here. It's still here. I'm not switching glasses today. This is printing, and my normal glasses that I can read the chat with are the same glasses I used to do the printing. When you see me carving, it's a different story because the block is much closer. Back to work here. Back to work. I really shouldn't watch that thing so much, you know. What am I doing even? I've lost control of what I'm doing. Block is now dry. How much pigment is on stuff? Too dry. Excuse me. Don't start that minor crap again. There's new people here, are there? Okay, what we're doing is this. This is a proof. This is a finished, where we're going with this. It's one of the gift prints published by my business here, Mokuhankan in Tokyo. And this is 6 impressions: blue, blue, black, sepia, brown, green. That's the finished result, and what you're seeing here are the first 2 steps, putting the blue background in. What did I do with the owl's forehead? I left it. I don't have a copy of one of the finished prints going out, just the test prints. Can we get there? I left it. It's fun. I don't know what it is. It's clearly an error of some kind down the line that is now being, what's the word, pushed forward even further down the line. I left it. If you like the print, you don't have money, don't worry about it. Over on the website, we've got a high resolution image. Download it, keep it on your computer, enjoy the image, you know. Don't sweat it. There's people that can get the print, there's people that can't. Don't worry about it. Excuse me. Okay, what have we got here? I think there's about 10 sheets left. Looks about just right. What is it now? Just after 9 o'clock. 10 or 11. It's going to work out just right. Why is it so hard to stop watching this stream? Go to bed. What can I say? Can't help laugh about that. You know, I'm working. I'm being productive here. What are you guys doing? It comes back all the time. You know, whatever. Thanks for watching, but you know. Well, there's that old joke, I think, really, really old. I mean, long before my time. There's some construction site downtown, whatever. There's, you know, sidewalk around it. People are inside digging a hole to make some big building or something, whatever, construction site. And the cartoon, whatever, we see two guys talking. A turns to B and says, my God, these guys are all busy working, but there's one guy down there, you know, he's just been standing there all day. He just doesn't do anything, you know. And B says, well, how do you know? He says, well, I've been here watching him all day long. You know? So, what's the clear liquid? It's paste. We have rice paste here. I say rice paste as a generic phrase. This stuff I'm using today is not made of rice. I know traditional workshops, I mean, well, the old days, of course, there was nothing else available. They did literally cook rice every morning. And I guess it would probably have been the job of one of the younger apprentices, whatever, every morning, get to the workshop early, get the hot plate out or whatever. Put rice in it, probably rice left over from last night's dinner or breakfast or whatever, I don't know, whatever. And you turn the rice into sort of a, it's like making white sauce. I'm not a cook, but I've watched my ex-wife, she did, you know, sauce and stuff. And there's flour and a bit of water in low heat, and take it off and stir it, and put it back in the low heat, and take it off and stir it, and put it back in the low heat. You've got to get sort of a translucent effect for some specific kinds of cooking. And that's exactly how we make our paste for this job. But having said that, that's the classical method, but we don't do that every morning. I didn't do that this morning before I started work. So what we're using now is the substance called Yamato Nori, Japanese paste, which would have been totally organic before, but it goes smelly, it goes rotten. It's just rice, so even in the fridge a couple of days it starts to get mold. So thinking about the longevity of our prints, rather than putting just more starch in there, what we use these days, there's various types available. Here's the one we're using currently here. Can I get it right? It's shoji nori. It's a commercial type paste used with people use to put their shoji screens on. And there's no rice in here at all. This is something, whatever, polyvinyl chloride or whatever, you know, I don't know, some kind of modern paste type product. And I have no problem at all with using that, because from my point of view, It's stable, it's consistent, and it doesn't go rotten. And I'm thinking that once this is in these prints, because these are going to last, this is the not garbage thing, this is a 200-year object. This print is going to last and last and last. And much rather than having bits of leftover cooked rice in there, I would much rather have an inert substance in there. So this is one case where we're differing slightly from the old traditional techniques, and I think in very, very much a positive way. The stability of these prints on a long-term basis. Anyway, the short, quick answer is we still call it rice paste, but there's no rice in there. Somewhere an old master is boiling rice and shaking his fist at Dave. We're not in Tokyo here anymore, but whatever. Back when I was still married, my wife used to do it for me. I tried, and she just said, "Get out of the kitchen, you're such an idiot," whatever. She blows me away. She did a good job. But it had to be done every morning. Had to be done every morning. Do we have questions? Have I missed something over in the actual official question box? No, nothing in there. Official questions. How many Japanese masters remain? This word master, I know this is just whatever. Please erase that word from your vocabulary. I know this is such a thing. There's no masters here. We're a bunch of people making woodblock prints. You know, before I came, 40 years ago, there's a bunch of guys here downtown, a couple of carvers. You saw one, Ito Sound, in that video, people like this, guys doing a job. You meet him on the street. What's your job? Oh, I'm a woodblock carver. Okay, bye, see you later. You meet the kid. What does your dad do? Oh, he's a woodblock printer. There's no masters. There's just people doing a job. Different levels of competence. Some guys are not so good at this. Some guys are middling, and some guys are really quite good at it. But there's no concept of there's the master, and we will all sit at his feet and learn the words of wisdom. There's something about Westerners. I'm not being critical at you guys because I was part of it, 40 years ago. Westerners look at the East, China, Japan, maybe India, whatever. Over there are gurus and masters and stuff, and I will go there to learn the wisdom of the East and something. And it's a crock of shit. There's nothing like that. It's another country where people work and do their jobs. Whatever. Some Japanese boy would look west and say, the plumber in America, there's a master. I'm going to sit at his feet and learn how to do plumbing. You get what I'm getting at? It's just like that. So whatever, there are a few people here in Tokyo still doing traditional woodblock printmaking at different levels. most of them are, from my point of view, not very good at this anymore because the quality of it has really degraded over the 20th century. So if I think in my own mind of a master or something, what I'm thinking of is the craftsman who worked at a time when the technical level was really, really still very high. So I think of those guys, the Meiji era carving masters and stuff like that. That's just in my mind. If we had a chance to time machine and meet one of those guys, he's just a guy sitting in his room just doing a job and thinking, geez, I've got to get home, I've had enough of this today or whatever. The whole word of master, I know. And for myself, now and then people are using it for me sometimes. And I'm just, please go away. It's not, I don't reject the praise. That's not my point. But we're just a bunch of guys doing our job. And some people do it better than others. And some people talk about it more than others. Some people maybe promote themselves more than others. I don't know. Masters, just erase the word, please. I don't know, I get in trouble because it sounds like I'm rejecting, support for our work, and it's not, Yeah, I'm not yelling at somebody. If there's no apologies or whatever, just please, this is a thing. No. I'm not shooting at you for asking this. I'm sorry. There's certain buttons, we all have these buttons. When people push the button, bang, certain responses come back. And that's one of my buttons. So sorry about that. So, no negative, no hostility at all. Sorry. There's so many things we could make videos. People have got this list. Dave, why don't you make a video about such? You were talking on Twitch yesterday about this. Please make a David's Choice video about it. I got a video list that's longer than my... I don't know what to do, There's a very common request. Dave, please make more videos like the Ito Susumu video, just to ramble, just put the camera on. You don't need to prepare. You can do it easily. Just do it tonight. It doesn't need any preparation. And, it's not that simple. It really isn't that simple, There are so many stories, but you've got to... Whatever, we are moving closer and closer towards that. And Cameron is here. He really is already taking a ton of my work off here. There's a lot of expense accounting and paperwork now that I'm not doing. Obviously, because you've seen me back at the bench more and more and more. And this is only going to grow now, so more productivity for me and more videos coming up. Please let me try and get things organized. Also, too, it's autumn. I know this year, October I've talked about it was beyond belief. Beyond belief. We're staggering under the workload. We're running out of prints. We don't have labor and the customers, and we're staggering. It's been an absolutely insane year. Just no other word to use. An insane year. Staff was joking about that yesterday, Kawai-san. It's my birthday's next week, and I'm going to be 66 on the 11th. And this year, 65. We all know what happens when we hit 65. We retire, and it's golf course and on the beach. And for me, year number 65 was exactly the opposite. It's sort of like being born again, and all of a sudden everything explodes, and it's the exact opposite of retiring. So maybe for me, 66 is the year when things can settle down a bit. Who knows? Dokuju 66. I don't think that's one of the target years. 88 is a big target year here in Japan. 60 is a target year. It's called Kandeki. they do the astrology thing, 12-year cycle, and going around 5 times. You can look it up. If you look up Kandeki, K-A-N-R-E-K-I, it's one of those milestone years in Japanese culture. And in fact, there's a long story there. That's why Mokuhankan exists. That's why the apprentices and the other people working here exist. Because when I faced Kandeki, I made a change in my life. Am I going to stay as a solo craftsman, or am I going to go wide? And I decided to go wide. And that was at 60. That was that milestone. No, I'm not heartbroken. I'm having fun. I'm having a ton of fun, of course. If I said golf and stuff, I was just being sarcastic. I can't do that. Obviously, I can't do that. Is there a pension in Japan? Yes, there's a total good pension system. I didn't get into it because I came here, how old was I? 36 when I came here, and looked at the numbers. The first few years, my wife didn't want us to stay, so I couldn't join because it wasn't like we were going to stay very long. But by the time it became clear I was going to stay, 45 or something, the pension rule was, I think at that time it said, you got to pay in for 35 years before you can draw out. And I was like 45, so it just didn't add up, So I never joined the national pension system. And because I left Canada, I'm out of that thing. So I have no pension myself. It's all just up to me. No, not heartbroken. I couldn't be having more fun. It's okay. I think we're getting there. I didn't hear the ping pong from downstairs, but it doesn't come up this far. So hopefully Nakamura-san and Kawai-san are downstairs now getting ready for the day's activities. I'll just finish this little stack. I think there's 3 sheets left in there. So 3 more sheets and I'll finish off. And Ayumi-san will take over. She's not coming today because it's Sunday, but Ayumi-san will take over on Monday to do the rest of the sprint. Hang around for another 20 years, we'll have gene therapy repair. I'm wondering, I could perhaps be the last generation that misses this stuff, that has easy cancer cures and stuff like that, I have a bit of a pessimistic viewpoint on this, because always when they talk about this stuff, it'll be ready 5 more years, 5 more years, 5 more years, and it never seems to get here, because we've been hearing these stories for decades. So it could be that perhaps I'm the last generation that misses these things and that dies from cancer and stuff like that, Who knows? We'll see. Too soon to call. Hang in there, trying to keep myself healthy, keep enjoying life. Somebody's asking, do we do this all the time, or is there a final step? What you're seeing is one step, one step in a long, long process. If you hang around this stream for a while, you'll see many different stages. There's drawing stages, carving stages, printing stages. So this is just one step in a long process. Birthday plans? No. The shop's going to be busy. It's a Saturday. Two sheets left here. Japanese have the longest lifespans. Women, not men, women. And it's in Okinawa. And anyway, I don't have Japanese genes, right? I don't. No, I'm not going to sweat that. My DNA is going to call it at the end of the day, and I can't change that. So all I can do is just keep active, keep happy, which is what's going on. Eat well, which I do. Sleep well, which I do. You know, I think I'm doing the right things, so nothing else to say. Just in time, home for the end of the stream. Yes, sir, I have one sheet left. You lucked out again today, so. I'm sorry about the lack of evening streams and afternoon streams. There's just no way I can do that. I did it for a few weeks, but it was just insane. I'm sorry, you know. If we do switch, get the managing thing happening better where I have time to do more carving and printing myself, I will be doing, I'd like to go back to the lifestyle I had before where I'd carve actually at night, like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or something. Do a peaceful hour or two of carving. Yes, genes. My Jeans are Japanese genes, but the genes inside me are, of course, British genes or whatever the Vikings left or something. I don't know. Okay, here we are. Today's last sheet for me, and it's down to work. Print party at 10 o'clock. Print party on the starboard bow. Okay, what's the schedule? This is Sunday morning here in Tokyo. I've been doing this work. There will be no stream tonight, of course, we all know that. Monday morning, there will be a stream here, and I will either be up here doing another batch of these background colors, or I will be at my carving bench on the second floor finishing up the carving of the New Year print. Or if that gets done tonight, I might be doing test printing on the New Year print. I don't know. There's these jobs coming up. Another job, I might be carving the first print in the new subscription series. Anyways, there's lots of work. So I'll be here again, same time, same station tomorrow morning. Not exactly sure what the job is that I'll be doing, but that I will be here is established. Thanks very much, guys. I'm off now to get downstairs. If I can find my glasses to hit the right buttons, I'll enjoy reading the stream again. I caught most of it today, I think, though. Thank you again. Camera off. It says buy more owl prints, drive him nuts with owls. Back off, you guys. All right, thanks again. Bye-bye.